I mean, I started reading about and being interested in Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency, but more from a political and cybersecurity angle back in, like 2011. And had always followed that, just thinking it was going to be this kind of niche toy of hackers and cypherpunks. And, I thought maybe someday it would be traded on the FX desk at JP Morgan, where I was working already at the time, when Occupy Wall Street and all this other stuff was happening. But that didn't happen. It was always like 0 results in our internal search. So I happened to hear that there was this one team that was working on not just blockchain, but machine learning and some cloud strategy and API stuff, and moved over there because I knew they were doing blockchain things, but first started in machine learning and eventually aggregated the team together and created the Blockchain Center of Excellence there. But it was a great journey to spend a lot of time working not with just with management at JPM, although we certainly did a lot of education and evangelism there, but to get to talk with central banks and asset managers and also Fortune 100 corporates, and hear how they're trying to use this blockchain or distributed ledger tech completely apart from what was happening in the trading space. And there weren't a lot of people at that time that were going back and forth that could discuss both. Mm-hmm. It kind of felt like a lot of people who had my job at other institutions had at some point been handed a PowerPoint that said, you're in charge of the blockchain now. Yeah. And it was just strange that they were coming from this philosophy of how are we going to transform banking systems?
Rather than what is it and why is it?
Yeah, and where is the rest of this kind of community coming from? And mm-hmm. So, I guess just because of that, I got to explain a lot of things to a lot of people I didn't really expect to. And it's been really fun.
Something interesting about going through that experience of being put in front of the clients and being put in front of the kind of the internal senior management, and also bumping into a whole bunch of people internally that you would never have come across. Like, what was the takeaway from that? I'm guessing people reacted differently at different times over that kind of 2-3 year period.
Absolutely. I mean, there were times when people felt, challenged and they were worried that their business models were going to be under attack. At other times, it was very kind of hopeful and opportunistic that if we could find a business model that was going to really be transformative, that there might be completely new top-line revenue opportunities. And then, figuring out how the entire industry was going to interact with what was happening in the public space, and having relationships of people that I had known for years that have been in Bitcoin and now all these other kind of projects that have come out, to hear from their side kind of what was happening out there. It was very fascinating. Yeah.
Isn't it kind of weird how those two worlds collided? It was almost like Neo in the Matrix. You have the life, the day job, and life kind of outside that, and those two things actually became one, and you were paid to do it.
Well, I think it's great that I've had this kind of platform, and I'm very appreciative of it. But there are a lot of people at these institutions that know exactly what's going on. The problem is that these enterprises keep them in the basement and call them cyber and don't let them ever talk to clients or management, or they see information security as a check the box kind of an activity. But there's a lot of expertise already. These people have day jobs. We just need to find them.
And typically, my experience was exactly the same. When I spoke to information security, I would get through to that one person who really knew their stuff. Typically extremely articulate, typically ridiculously intelligent, and would get it and say, oh yeah, I already read about that. I didn't have to inform them anything. I would just sit and start listening. And then my job was to go tell everybody else what they just said. And I was like, why is that the case? Why don't people listen to these people? There's an interesting cultural observation there.